Hey guys, welcome back to Aldine Living. Today I'm going to take you guys through my process of how I found my piece of land, which is around 3 acres give or take. And I did it well below market price, and I just wanted to take you through the process of how I found that. So I'm going to use St. Louis County as an example. This will work in most counties or in all counties. So the first thing I did is you want to go to Zillow or Redfin or any of these websites that kind of show you what the going rate for the land is. And land can be kind of special because you can have like a $35,000 plot right here, and then right across from it maybe a 200,000 or a 2 million, and it can be very sporadic. And if you're new to this, you might just be like, "Oh, what's going on?" It seems like they're just doing a raffle and picking a number. But you wanna whatever city you live in, you wanna just I started with half an acre, so this is any land half an acre without a house on it, and see what parts of town you can afford. So if we go around here, West County, any piece of land's over 100 grand. It's very far from the city. If you want to be close to the city, as you can see, it's very, not affordable. I don't think most people who work and trying to do this debt free and just build an affordable house just for them and their family probably can't afford anything here. And I'm not gonna talk too much about safety. That's a personal choice. How far or what you're comfortable with. I think, especially if you're doing like a 3 acre plot or a couple acre plot, as long as it's far away enough from the city center, without a lot of foot traffic, even if it's not that far mileage wise from an area you might consider unsafe, it's pretty unlikely that someone will just wander into your land, especially if you bought it vacant. It will still look vacant after you probably develop it if you want to keep that privacy. But let's just consider North County right here for an example. There's a lot of good agricultural. You can see it's pretty green. Let's put the satellite. You can see it's pretty rural up here. And usually, more rural is you got more privacy and more space to yourself. So it looks like you can get. So what's this guy? This is 3 acres, 3.5, an acre. So based on this information, you can kind of get the ballpark of you can get a couple acres for less than 50 grand. And so my philosophy is if I can get a listed property for about 50 grand, I would want to look for trying to get a property for like 40% or 50% less than what it's listed for. So what I did is every county has a listing of all its properties online free for the public use. And on that, you can look for the parcel information. So if we're taking St. Louis County as an example, once you got a ballpark figure of what the prices are, you can look up just St. Louis County, ArcGIS. Yeah. And not every county is going to be exactly the same, like layer wise, what layers you can see and exact system, but it'll have something similar. And so what I did is I found the area where I was like, okay, I'm confident I can maybe afford a piece of land here, paying in cash or making a deal with the landowner without involving a bank. And that gives you some power in negotiation. So you could, try and find a piece of land for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, however much, you're comfortable spending on just the land, keeping account how much you're going to spend for the house or building the house. So what I did, which is very tedious up front, but it proved fruitful, is I looked around and I did like this, going through the satellite images, and I started looking And I'm going to blur a lot of this information just for privacy reasons. I don't want to put people's information on the internet without asking them. Basically, I started looking for plots of land that don't have a house on it from the satellite image. And I was aiming for a amount of acreage that I know I could afford with negotiation. And so based on what you saw on Zillow or Redfin or any of these listing sites, you can be like, I can afford 3 acres, I can afford 5 acres, I can afford 1 acre. Everyone is different. And then I would look and I'll just zoom in and try and go plot of land by plot of land. Um, so this plot of land, you can see it's appraised for about 50,000, so that's good. Whatever it's appraised for, you can be confident that you have a chance of negotiating for 50% of the value for a motivated seller. Okay, this one didn't have acres listed. Okay, so 2.36 acres. And so what I would look for is I would look for a piece of land, and I would be kind of a little stocky, but I would look up the people's names, which I won't show, but the people's names, their address, and it was a tedious process, but basically, if I look up the people's names and I find that they're not land investors, I find that maybe they have just a regular job, they're doctors or lawyers or machinists or just people that work, and maybe they bought this land as an investment or through inheritance and they just have it and they pay in taxes on it, because you can take this locator number and look it up in the St. Louis County database online, and it will show you all of its tax history and who owns it and everything like that, and if it was sold or not. So I'd go around and look and find properties like this that have no house on them, that are vacant. And what I found is preferably you don't want to properties with like an LLC as the owner, because that usually means that they bought it as like an investment, and so they'd usually be pretty invested in it. They wouldn't sell it very cheaply because they bought it to make money. But properties that are owned by just regular people, like I said, and that's where the internet can be a beautiful place. You can just look up these people, you can look up their addresses and just see like, okay, they're living in a regular house. They got regular jobs. They have this piece of land. It's costing them $1,000 a year in taxes or so. It's just a headache. You can come in as a cash buyer and just tell them, I'm buying this to build a house for my family. This is what I can offer you. I looked at, what it cost me to put utilities on the land, what it cost me to clear the land because it's vacant, and just make them an offer, and there's plots all around here, and in most cities there are plots like this that don't have any houses on them, and so I just made a list of 10 properties that I would maybe want to live on, that are big enough and are good for my budget. And so I made this list, and then I wrote this mail, and so I sent this to the 10 addresses that I thought I would want to live in and that I could afford the acreage that I wanted. So it went kind of something similar. I just wrote this up. I just had my name, address. Putting your name and address just kind of helps you gives you credibility and makes it a little more comfortable, I think. And so this was my first time doing this, but from reading online, a lot of people send 1,000 mailers and maybe get a couple responses. I sent out 10 mailers and got 2 responses, which is like 20%. Now, granted, I do all this upfront work of looking on the satellite image, and so I know the type of person that might respond to me and might be motivated to sell. So that's why I have a higher success chance. But if you're doing this, once to get your house or to get a plot you can build on, and you're not doing this as an investor, then this is a valid strategy to go. So I just said, dear owner, I hope this letter finds you well. My name is blank. Put your name. I'm writing to express my sincere interest in purchasing the property located at the property address. You put the property address you're interested in. Tell them that you researched it, you really like it. Make it sound like you're interested, that you're not going to waste their time. And then you just tell them your goal, kind of make you more human. Just tell them, if you're open to selling, I'm going to provide more information about my background. Again, gives you some trust and credibility. And then just tell them, you're willing to negotiate and answer any questions they have. Then you thank them for their time. Put your phone number, email address, and then you sign. And so I signed these, and I actually wrote the mailers by hand, which I think maybe gives them the impression that I'm doing this. I'm not some big investor. I'm just doing this as a person, and I'm really invested in this deal. Because if you're doing 1,000 mailers, you're not going to do it by hand. There's no way. And maybe that's another reason for the success I had. I got 2 responses from the 10 mailers I sent. There were properties not too dissimilar to the properties I showed here. You just find some properties that don't have a house on it. You get their name, you look it up, you see what they do, you see where they live. If they're just, regular people, they're not millionaires and it's not some investing LLC, then there's a high probability they might be willing to sell, especially if you offer them cash. So how it went for me is, I talked to them, got some information, went to look at the property, had some more questions, and depending on where you live, there's going to be reasons where you can tell them I need a lower price for it. Maybe there's hills, maybe the land has to be cleared, maybe septic system issues, got to get permits, and it's expensive. And I think a lot of people understand that. So I was able to negotiate and get a good deal on a property. And so you guys, I think if you were to do something similar, you would find success. Talking about the negotiation process, so they usually give you a call or they send you an email. And you want to ask them some questions, and ideally you would go look at the land because then you know what you're buying. I mean, obviously if you're doing this, then this isn't like, then you're probably doing this because, you don't have that much, mountains of cash, so you really care how you spend your money. So you just ask them, hey, when did you buy this? Why are you interested in selling? Is there a lot of hills on the property? Is there utilities? What's the history? And make sure you ask a lot of questions. 1, because you want to know the questions, and 2, because you want to make them know that you are very interested and that you're serious. Because the more serious they become, the more serious you become, the more invested you both are in making this deal happen. And at this price range, like, for most people, they can't buy a $300,000 cash, but if you've maybe saved up half a year's of work or something, maybe you have 15, 20 grand laying around, you can offer them to pay cash. And oftentimes sellers are very motivated to sell to cash offers cash buyers because it's a very fast process. When you're buying with a bank, it might take, a month or weeks under contract negotiation, and hey, do you have this and do you have this? With a cash offer, you just kind of go. You can shake hands, exchange and have them sign the deed, and you're good to go. So it's a much faster, much more old school process, and I think a lot of people are attracted to that. And there's nothing wrong with also going the route of just looking on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com and just finding properties that are already for sale. And if they've been on sale for a couple of months, then probably they would also be motivated sellers. And so this kind of goes to show you that you could do this as just a regular person. If you work, if you have a Monday through Friday job, you could also take this process and find success like I did. The next video, I'll share with you guys how I actually went from agreeing, so we agreed on the sale price, how I actually closed the deal, what kind of paperwork I did, and how I made sure not to pay all these fees that I find to be a little scammy when buying real estate. A lot of people pay, like closing costs and title insurance, all this stuff that I just find to be a little hand wavy sometimes. Sometimes you just ask what am I actually paying for, and they couldn't tell you. So that'll be in the next video, but I hope you guys got some benefit from this. I really think it's great for people to buy land and build and grow on it. I think it's a great journey. I'm enjoying every part of it, and I hope you guys can find success in your own land search. That's it for this video, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you.